Hi everyone, this is a practice on simplifying rational expressions. It's a review, and the main reason we want to simplify rational expressions a lot of times is to find the domain. So for example, this one's already simplified. And remember the domain, we want it to be all real numbers. So we're going to write all real numbers. However, when we take this, the numerator, just remember in math we cannot divide by 0. So every time we rational expressions, I want to make sure that whatever this x is doesn't make my denominator 0. So basically what you're doing is we don't want our denominator to equal 0. So I'm going to solve for x and subtract 3 from both sides and divide both sides by 2. So it's all real numbers except x cannot equal negative 3/2. Okay, the next problems are just going to be simplifying rational expressions, and then you should always be able to set the denominator to 0 or not equal to 0 like I did and find the domain. Okay, so here we have a rational expression, and we want to first factor everything. And what I'm going to do is going to factor the numerator, and you should get pretty good with factoring here. I need something that multiplies gives me negative 28, which is going to be 4 and 7. And I'm going to make my 7 positive and this negative. So you can always check this, but I'm assuming when you're reviewing this, you already know how to factor. Now, down here, I don't like how that's written, so I'm going to reverse write this. I'm going to write this over negative x squared. I just write this. Then I'm going to write this part, minus 2x. Then I'm going to write this as a positive 24. I'm also going to factor out a negative x. So my next step would be x minus 4 over x plus 7. And I'm going to factor out a negative. And then when I do that, I'm going to get x squared plus 2x minus 24. Now I simplify further. And keep the negative there. And it's going to be x minus 4 times x plus 6. A lot of times when they give you problems with reducing, they're going to give you something with a common factor. For example, this one, we can cancel this factor because they're the same. So my answer is going to be negative x minus 7 over x plus 6. And then if you had to find the domain, you would just say x can't be negative 6. All the numbers back. All right, here's a similar one. I'm going to rewrite the numerator. I'm going to put him first and the 25 second. I'll go ahead and factor out the denominator, which is going to be x minus 5 times x minus 5. I'm going to factor out my negative. That's supposed to be squared. And I'm going to get x squared minus 25 over x minus 5 times x minus 5. Now, this is the difference of perfect squares. So that's going to be negative x plus 5 times x minus 5 over x minus 5 times x minus 5. Cancel that out. And my final answer is right there. All right. Here's one. This one, I'm going to go ahead and use the greatest common factor and factor out the 3 in the numerator. And that's going to give me x squared plus x minus 6 And I'm going to use my greatest common factor and factor out of 6. And that's going to give me x squared plus 5x plus 4. Now further factor, I'll just bring it down here. And this is going to be plus 3 minus 2. I don't know what level you're at, but make sure you get this factoring down. Okay, when I factored out a 3 here, you probably already noticed this should have been a 12. So I'm going to put a 12 there. And the reason I kind of noticed I made a mistake is there's nothing I can cross out here. And I also should have made this a plus here. So I'm going to redo this, cross that out. I'm just going to erase it and redo that. Sorry about that. I don't want to restart the video, so that's going to be 3. And since it's 12, this is going to be x plus 4 times x minus 3. And that's a good sign. If you can't factor something out when they're asking you to simplify, maybe you need to recheck it. Now this cancels out. This reduces to 1/2. So we're going to get x minus 3. You can put the 1 there if you want. Over 2 times x plus 1. And we really don't need the 1 there. So there's your final answer. Okay, the next one, I have 2 more after this. So the next one, this is the perfect square trinomial. So all you do is you're going to go v plus 7 times v plus 7. I'm going to go ahead and factor out my greatest common factor here, which is only 2, which leaves me 5v squared plus 36v plus 7. And then factor further. I'm just trying to do this. I haven't written any of this down, so I'm going to know I have a 5v. Everything's plus because these are both pluses. And it's pretty simple. Plus, and that's going to be 7 and 1. You can always check outer and inner. That would be 35 plus 1 gives me the 36. Okay, then you just cancel out the common factors. So your final answer is going to be v plus 7 over 2 times 5v plus 1. Okay, and here we have one that you can't factor by grouping. So we're going to use synthetic division, and like I said, this really should be a review. So you take, you set this to 0, and use that as your divisor here. We're going to do synthetic division. If you know long division, you could do that way as well. We're leaving out the x's. Bring down the 2. Then you multiply. Negative 5 times 2 is negative 10, and add. Multiply. And add. Then multiply these 2 and add. And you got 0 for the remainder. So this is your answer here. So this will be 2x squared plus 7x minus 4. We can factor that further. So that's going to be 2x and x. And we need 7, so we can get 4 and minus 1. So that is your answer. Okay? And so basically this means if I factored this out mentally, which I couldn't do, it would be x plus 5 times 2x minus 1 over x plus 4 all over my x minus 5, or x plus 5. And that cancels out. So that's why this is your answer. And finally, again, remember, the reason we're doing this is because many times you want to know what the domain is of a rational expression. And remember, we cannot divide by 0. That's a no-no. So what would make this 0? Well, we wanted the domain to be all real numbers. But x cannot be negative 8. And I'll show you why. When you plug in negative 8 here, you'll get negative 8 plus 8 times negative 8 plus 2. That gives you 0 times negative 6, which equals 0. Well, we can't divide by 0, so that's why it can't be negative 8. And similarly, x cannot be negative 2. So I plug in negative 2 here, I'll get negative 2 plus 8 times negative 2 plus 2, which gives me 6 times 0, which equals 0. So my answer is all real numbers. However, x cannot be negative 8, and x cannot be negative 2. And that's all, and I hope you all have a very nice day. Bye-bye.